Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Donna Edwards. I'm a training and certification BDM at Amazon Web Services, and I'm super excited to welcome you to our Women in Tech panel live on Twitch. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I know there's busy time in everybody's lives at the moment. This panel is one of the value add events for our AWS She Builds CloudU program, which we run to encourage as many women as possible to get excited and interested about working in tech. We have two programs, both completely flexible, so people can study when it works for them and have the support of this fantastic community, as well as AWS mentors to help. One of the programs takes you through the cloud practitioner training, so the fundamentals of cloud over 8 weeks, and the other is for those with a tech background who want to go deeper and become an AWS certified solution architect over 14 weeks. We also have people joining us today from the She Dares program, which is a collaboration between AWS and the Dream Collective. We'll post the links in the chat. If you'd like to take a look and register to join these free programs, we would love to have you. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce this amazing panel of women in tech from different backgrounds and different roles, and I'm very privileged to be chatting to them tonight. Starting with Amrit Kaur. Amrit is the Technology Strategy and Transformation Consultant at Deloitte, New Zealand, and she holds a Mechatronics Engineering degree from AUT University. This role sees her working hand in hand with individuals from a wide variety of industries and levels. While Amrit is in the early stages of her career, she has been part of some life-changing work. The highlight for her has been getting to work with the Ministry of Health on New Zealand's COVID-19 response for the past year. Amrit founded the AUT STEM Women's Club during her time in university and continues to be a promoter of diversity and inclusion, especially in the tech sector. In her spare time, Amrit works creating fine art, as painting is a passion of hers. I also want to give a big shout out to Deloitte, who is sponsoring the She Builds CloudU New Zealand program that's currently running. So welcome, Amrit. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Donna. It's great to be here.
Next up, we have Melanie Botha, aka Mel. Mel is another creative who happens to be in business. She's lived in 5 different countries and worked with businesses across Europe, Middle East, Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. Mel assists people to stand tall in order to see further and wider and develop their own voice in this cluttered world. She has assisted businesses with their go-to-market strategies, run sales organizations, headed up revenue-generating business units in corporates, and enabled kidpreneurs in Ethiopia with the product she co-designed. So many good stories there, I'm sure. Having worked in cutthroat environments, Mel has a passion to encourage women to live their full potential and cut through the noise of imposter syndrome and procrastination. Melanie was referenced in several books during her career, including Women Leadership in Emerging Markets by Shingaru Shireen and Karen Sheepers, and Play to Win, What Women Can Learn from Men in Business by Donna Rachelson. She recently was referenced as one of the successful results of the Microsoft Bold Leadership Program by Matetu Nayati, and I have no doubt I've said that wrong, in his book, Betting on a Darkie. Welcome, Mel. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Donna.
I feel like you tried to trip me up with all those names. Thank you. Thank you in advance. Next up, I'd love to introduce Renee Jameson. Renee is the head of product marketing for practice products at Xero. She works closely with the product development team, understanding customer requirements and market trends, driving development of go-to-market strategies, market positioning, and ongoing communication with customers. Renee has a strong interest in startup governance in New Zealand and is in the early stages of building up her governance experience, with recently completing the onboard program, as well as a current position as a board observer with Mint Innovation. Welcome, Renee.
Hi, thank you for having me today. It's really exciting to be here.
Pleasure. Thank you so much again. And last but not least, we have Navi Kaur. Navi is an authorized technical trainer at Amazon Web Services. She delivers training content to enable developers, administrators, solution architects, and partners to make the most of their investment in AWS. She enjoys the opportunity to combine a passion for teaching with her 15 years of financial industry experience to drive upskilling and career growth. Navi is an experienced professional with 8 AWS certs and 7 Azure certifications. She regularly mentors and runs sessions for our CloudU programs and has a passion for diversity in tech. Welcome, Navi. So big welcome to all of our panelists, and thank you all so much for taking the time to join us this evening or today, depending on where you are in the world. So I have a few questions that I'd like to kick off with for the panel, but we will go to the chat to select questions from the audience a little bit later. So if you do have questions, then please post them in the chat throughout our conversation, and I will go back to them and select some. So I'd love to take some time firstly to hear from each of our panelists about your careers to date. What did you want to be when you grew up? Is it what you're doing now? And can you tell us a bit about how you got to this point in your career and what that journey was like? So there's a lot in there. So I'd just love to take a bit of time to tell us a bit about yourselves, I guess, firstly. And I'd like to start with Renee.
Sure thing. I'm happy to kick things off. So what did I want to be when I grew up? That was a really interesting question that was posed. And I think my answer to that would be all of the above. So I, like at lots of different points in my life, especially as a child, I kind of wanted to be, I think there was a time I wanted to be a fireman, a hairdresser. I wanted to be a veterinarian. That was a huge passion of mine, helping animals. But what that sort of made me realize about myself is that I think I'm just a really naturally curious person. I love to learn, and that I think is a key strength of mine. And I've always lived by the mantra that nothing ventured is nothing gained. And I'm a firm believer that that's actually got me to the point of where I'm at today. So prior to my exposure to the tech industry, I worked in a few different industries. So I worked in hospitality, I worked in construction, and I worked in childcare. And I think a lot of those learnings really kind of helped me build some of the strengths that I could bring to the tech world. So it wasn't until my second year of my degree. So I studied a Bachelor of Business, majoring in marketing and consumer behavior. So I'm really interested in what drives people's behavior. And it wasn't until I was in my second year of studying that I actually landed my first summer job at Microsoft New Zealand. And it wasn't the most exciting job in the world. It was really just to come in part-time and help them with their cleanup of their CRM system, so their database system. And it does sound boring, but actually what it did for me was really spark my interest in the tech world. So that exposed me to a whole bunch of really smart people that were really passionate about the purpose that Microsoft had. And that was just amazing to see. And from then, I've never really been the same person. So 15 years later, I'm still in the tech industry. So what does that tell you? So I spent my early days at Microsoft in a few different roles within New Zealand. So I did a marketing internship after I had my summer job, which was fantastic. And then I was lucky enough to actually, again, kind of curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to explore the world, and I was lucky enough to be able to do that with Microsoft. So I moved over to the UK for a couple of years, and I held a tech marketing role there where I worked with the audience of developers and IT pros to really understand what they needed from Microsoft and how the technology that we built really supported them and kind of partnered with them and helped them with their career development as well, which is something that I'm super passionate about. So after that, we moved back to New Zealand after having our first child. And then after that kind of journey, I was lucky enough to land a role at Xero. So this was going back sort of 6 years ago. So Xero, for those of you that don't know, is a tech company that builds a small business platform to help support small businesses all over the world. We're global now. But 6 years ago, it was very much sort of still in that startup mindset, which was quite fun actually going from somewhere like Microsoft, where it was very grown up. We had all of the right kind of processes in place. We had the different kinds of specialized roles that could focus on specific areas. And then I kind of found myself landed at Xero. And it was more kind of roll up your sleeves and let's just get it done. And I think that that's where I got exposed to working more closely with developers and designers and helping really kind of get into the how we build product, which I absolutely loved. So I held a couple of different roles with Xero, and I've been the head of product marketing at Xero, which Donna mentioned, for the last 2 years now. And this is a really exciting role for me. And what I want to kind of point out is that even though I've got marketing in my job title, we actually sit within the product side of the organization within product marketing. So our team actually rolls up to the chief product officer, which is Anna Curzon. I'm not sure if many of you have met her before, but she's an amazing inspiration in the tech world as well. And so we work really closely. We have a product principle, which is product as a team sport. And so that means that my product marketers are very much embedded in that product development process. So right from the discovery phase of building product. And I think that that's probably the most exciting thing. So I sit on a leadership team with about 200 odd developers, designers, product people, and product marketing people. And we really do make the magic happen at Xero, which is a really exciting space to be. So yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride in terms of my career journey. I've loved every moment of it, and I wouldn't give up any of the learnings that I've had and kind of where I'm at for anything. I absolutely thrive off being and working in this kind of space.
Fantastic, thank you. That's such an interesting career journey, and I think lots of women that I talk to don't think of marketing roles or even product roles as tech roles, you know, but they really are. So I think it's great to hear it would be great to hear more about your story in those roles. Navi, I'd love to throw to you next.
Yeah, sure. So growing up, you know, it was a different life in India. Usually when there's a girl, you just say, okay, my daughter is going to go do some graduations, maybe masters, and then she'll get married. There's no career path from the very beginning, right? Like this is back in, I'm talking about 17s, 80s. But after my year 12, I just got into this computer. The computers were new in India, and I loved the magic of programming. Like create a program and it'll do what you want it to do by just clicking a button. But I never thought I'm like a technical person, even at that point. Even though I loved programming, I couldn't write programs. Never thought it in a technical world. So here in Australia, started working in a banking industry in an application support role. Still, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not technical. I can support an application, but I'm not technical. Just after I learned about this cloud is when I thought, oh, I know networking now. I know security. I know AWS services. I am technical. So it was very late in my life. I realized that actually what I'm doing is technical work. But yeah, it was an interesting journey, various support roles, and then now training, which is my passion. So really love it.
Fantastic. I love that. I'm not technical for such a long time. A few of us that went through the SheBuild Solution Architect program last year, we got our certification, our Solution Architect certification, and we all made a pact that we would stop saying we're not technical, because if we can get our Solution Architect certification, we damn well are technical enough. Thank you very much. But it's an easy trap to fall in, I think. Amrit, I'd love to hear from you.
Definitely. So I guess for me, I'm at the very, very beginning of my career. I've been working full time for 2 years. And I guess initially when I was going through uni, I obviously did engineering. So I was going down the engineering path, and there was no way that I was thinking that I would end up coming to Deloitte to work as a technology consultant. Like that was not even on the cards at all. You know, for me, when you're going through an engineering degree, you want to go to companies like Fisher & Paykel because those are the big words and everyone wants to go there. So that was my path that I was going to go down towards. And for me, I guess fell into consulting in an accidental way, where I was at a networking event and I met someone and she started talking about how technology consulting was a thing. And for me, initially I did my internships in a software development role, so it was very technical, and I soon realized that I actually liked to take a step back and understand the things prior to the software getting developed, so you know, the strategy work and all of that. So talking to this person I met at a networking event, I soon realized, hey, that actually sounds like me. Like I like talking to people, I like understanding problems, I like meeting people, and yeah, and she told me about Deloitte, and that's how I ended up here at Deloitte. And I've loved every single minute I've spent, because I just love what we do, and it just gives you such a satisfaction working with so many different people and so many different problems. And yeah, for me, still at a very early career stage, but I knew I wanted to be in the technical area since I was a kid, I guess. Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. I love that. It's a really good story. And I think we have a lot of people that, join our programs and that listen to these panels that are new or studying or looking at starting a career. And it's nice to have, recent experience of what that journey looks like and some tips and recommendations. So I have no doubt we'll end up with some questions about that that you'll be perfect to answer. So thank you.
No
and
worries.
last but not least, Mel, can you share your story with us?
Well, I'm definitely the oldest here, so I'm not going to go down the whole rant of everything because it's going to take a lot of time. But I always wanted to be an ambassador, and an ambassador or an artist, and ended up studying political science because I really wanted to support the underdog and people. I grew up at the time in Africa where I wanted to make the world a better place and studied Zulu in order to understand the people and to support people in South Africa. Little did I know I would draw illustrations for a book, end up in London working at a publishing house. And when I came back to Africa, IBM approached me. I had to go and Google what IBM stand for, and I had no clue. So it was an interesting journey, starting my 20-plus year career in tech, and I always ventured into roles where I wanted to challenge myself, and from managing storage teams where it was just men in Europe that I managed to working with startups in Africa, TV channel in Africa, and managing a software business here and now managing training. So it's just awesome to see if you're passionate about something and if you believe in your purpose, that will always help weave in and bring everything together like a fruit salad to give and to give back to people. But absolutely enjoy being in the tech world and meeting people like yourselves, where we can just create magic together.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing some of that story, which I'm sure goes a lot deeper and a lot longer. So one of the reasons that we collaborated to create the She Dares program is that working in the tech industry has mixed reviews for women. And there's a perception and research that's been conducted that, it can be a bit of a boys' club, or that it can be a bit boring and uninteresting, or that it's daunting and people think they have to be highly technical to join the tech industry. So I'd love to hear from you all what you personally enjoy about working in the tech industry, and you've shared a few of those insights, but it'd be great to go a little bit deeper. But also, what do you see as some of the challenges and also opportunities for women in the tech industry? And let's start with Amrit, being new to the tech industry-ish.
Yeah, I my initial thought to that question was, I feel like the women before me have done a lot of the hard work when it comes to representing women in tech, and I feel like for me, if I was to talk about my personal experience, I personally didn't feel intimidated by other people in the majority of the people in the tech industry, because I feel like the women who came before me kind of established that we were coming through this industry, and you have to make space for us. And so I guess I personally enjoy it. I just love solving problems, and I think for me, like being at Deloitte is just amazing, because it exposes me to a lot of different industries, and from I've only been here for a year and a half, and I've gotten to understand things from different industries and how they work and what sort of challenges they're facing. And for me, technology keeps evolving and there's new things coming out, and I just really love understanding what's the new exciting thing that we can use, how can we solve a particular problem, and how we can use the new technologies to enhance people's experiences and in a way make people's lives better and easier. So I think, and personally with the project that I've been on, the COVID-19 response, like that has just been, I don't think I would have gotten a better experience, because that has been the I guess on people's minds since last year, and being able to work on a solution that directly impacts your family, your neighbors, your whole the whole of New Zealand is just so rewarding, and I wouldn't change it for anything. And I guess opportunities are endless. I don't even know how to describe it. For me, I tend to think of it in the way that if you want something, you gotta go out and get it. You make your own opportunities. Don't be shy and wait for things to come to you. And for me, I've just been like, I want that, and I'm gonna try to find a way to get to it. So I guess making my own opportunities is what I'm trying to say in a way. But yeah, that's my experience so far.
That's amazing. That makes my heart so warm to hear a story like that, and that's how you feel being in the industry for such a short time. As one of those people that have been in the industry for nearly 20 years, it's so awesome that that's what your experience has been. So love it. I feel like, what else can you even say to that? But we can try. Navi, Navi, do you have anything you'd like to add?
The thing about tech industry is there are lots of different things you are exposed to. So technical just doesn't mean fixing a computer in a certain way. It could be just looking after a database, some kind of storage solution. You have so many opportunities. If you go into this field, you can look for what you are passionate about. So like me, when I was before the training, what I was doing is investigating. So there will be incidents, problems happening, servers going down, something is going bad. I'll be investigating, finding the root cause. And that was like doing detective work. Loved it. And one of the managers I met after a long time, and he goes, Navi, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking after these incidents. He said, oh yeah, you love investigating, so you're in the right place. So even now, as a technical trainer, I'm still investigating. I put my passion into the students, and I try to find out what will motivate them to either learn, to go through a stand course or get certified. So it's still, for me, is looking for that skill in others and enjoy it and tell them about my own technical experiences and what they can find in this big industry. So don't be scared of the word tech, which I was 20 years ago, but now it's all different. So many opportunities we have. So I would like to tell women to take these opportunities, get out of those roles which we've been doing as women for a long time. Look at something other than what you are doing currently to find your passion, right? So
love it. I'm going to call you Detective Navi from now on. That's your new work name. Mel, over to you next.
Donna, what always just struck me is looking at how you can solve real world problems. Just when I left Microsoft at the time, I supported a incubator called Think Room, and we mentored over 100 startups across Africa. One of them designed an app to test hearing for people in remote areas, and we helped them with their go-to-market strategy to get into the sticks and get sponsors and support to take that solution globally. So what was just incredible for me is I've met the most incredible tech startups. Loads of them were women, and some of them just had an idea, and then they would design it and work with user interface teams and technical teams. Others had the deep core technical expertise, and it encouraged me so much that I designed an app totally together with teams in Germany and Indonesia, wherever, through 99 Designs. I have no coding experience. I so wish I had, and that's something I will do. If I had to come back to Earth, I'll start much sooner to learn how to code. And it's just incredible to see how you can really make an impact, whether you help them on the peripheral or you actually give those market opportunities through the tech companies. And that's what I just love about working with companies that have a tech focus, is you can scale and you can help so many people and create those solutions. So that's just incredible. And as Navi said, I just want to encourage people. You can deploy any talent. I'm a big supporter, like Amrit is, of art and gaming, user interface design, you name it. Everything needs a design element, and married with tech, it's just a match made in heaven. So yeah, awesome.
What was the app you created?
Mine was the It's Me business that I had, where I created kidpreneur programs together with my sister, and design kits for young girls to encourage them to go into the world of design. We developed the app for it as well. And luckily, I was asked to come and work in Australia, because that was one of my fail fast and stand up fast exercises when I designed that app. You got to do that as well, right?
Yes, I think something that all us women need to get good at is being okay with failing, right? That's a whole nother conversation. Renee, over to you.
That is so cool, Mel, that app that you developed. I'm the same. I think if I could do my time all over again, I would definitely look to try and be more fluent in coding way earlier on in my career. I honestly can't really do it, but it's something that I try and encourage my daughter to think about these days. So to answer the question, I think one of the most the reasons why I love working so much in the tech industry, and I know we've talked about it a lot actually, but it's really the smart and optimistic people that I get to work with literally on a daily basis. And those are the people that come from all walks of life. I think that one of the biggest challenges, although it sounds like it's getting better with what Amrit was saying, but it's really just the overall diversity that we have within the tech industry. And I have seen that change. But I've also seen just how crucial diversity and different perspectives that put into the problem solving perspectives get much better outcomes off the back of it. And so I think what we've got an opportunity for collectively, I mean, we're all here today, and you're all very interested or seeking a career in technology, and that is to advocate for those that are kind of future generations away. Like, how can we come together to make sure that we foster the right environment in the tech companies that we work for, to make sure that there is diverse perspectives on things, because that does directly contribute to the success and the business outcomes that the tech companies have. And I also think it's just really important because we know that the modern world is really literally built on algorithms. And so I think it's really up to us to help educate and advocate the importance of ensuring that our future generations have are much more fluent in technology than what I was back in my earlier days. Yeah, so that would be my answer to that.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot more available now in schools and obviously, you know, university and so forth, around trying to get everybody a foundation of coding, as well as other kind of foundational tech skills. But, you know, I kind of think coding's for everyone. I've done a few coding workshops myself, and I'm like, oh my God, the attention to detail and just the concentration. I don't think it would have mattered how old I was. It's just not for me. But yeah, it's so awesome to see. I've just been mentoring some Year 8 girls in Queensland as part of the Tech Girls Superheroes program, and they're all of them are doing Python and different types of coding. They've already learned, you know, they're doing STEM in school. Now they're building an app to help their community. Like, it's incredible the knowledge that they have, you know, compared to when I was at school. It's really, yeah, fantastic. Renee, did you say something? You were on mute. I wasn't sure if you...
I was just saying, me too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're going to throw to our first audience question. We've got a one that is very relevant. I feel like every week I ask myself this question. Work-life balance, does it really exist? Anyone can take that. I'll let you choose.
I can put my hand, because I've got 2 young children, by the way. I've got a 6-year-old who's actually off to Kelly Tarleton's for her first school excursion tonight, and then a 2.5-year-old. So I'm a big believer in making sure that you do get that balance right. I think it's just so important to make sure that you take time to spend with your family, because that's kind of my reset time as well. Like, that's what really does give me energy to be able to thrive in a work environment. And it's something that like I've, like has been sort of ebbs and flows throughout my career. There's some situations or some times in my career where I've really thought I've like handled it well, and then other times where it gets completely thrown. But I think for me, it's really just about making sure that you put the right kind of boundaries in place. And I'm much better at that now. Boundaries are super important. So I think if you can kind of stick to those, then you can really be the biggest advocate for yourself and making sure that you do get that right work-life balance.
Well, for me, it is just the opposite, right? So with the young family, I had more life than work balance. So now my kids are grown up, I've got more time to actually work or find my passion or learn something, give some time to me as well. So I go towards the work now more than the life, which is what I wanted. And from the very beginning, it wasn't possible because of the young family. So it was more towards the life because you have to look after your family. So now is perfect time for me to actually do some work as well.
That's a really interesting, way to look at it. I don't think I've ever heard anybody flip it like that. But it's about what works for you, right? And I think that's what the whole balance thing is about. Whatever works for us as individuals. Amrit, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think I would support what Renee just mentioned, having those boundaries. For me, I really care about, other things other than just work. I care about my health. I care about my passion with painting. So I make sure, and it's really easy, like, especially when I agree when I first started, there was no balance, just because I was learning loads and I was so excited about, trying to get as much information as possible. But once I was set up and, I knew what I was doing, then I made sure that I set up a boundary that this was what it was going to be, and I needed to take care of my other goals apart from work. So yeah, for me, it's all about balance. And I think it's very easy to just prioritize work over everything else in your life, whereas life has a lot of other factors to it. Work is one part of it. So definitely a balance and putting boundaries up.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said about, making sure you're taking the other passions into consideration. One of the last companies I worked for, quite a few people worked 4 days a week, and it wasn't because they had children or, it wasn't about a family thing, which I think is generally the reason people work part-time is because they have kids, but they actually had other passions that they wanted to spend and allocate time on to pursue. And that was the first time I'd really seen that or thought about that as an okay concept, that you can, work part-time in one job and also so that you have time for your other passions. Mel, I'm sure you've got something to add around work-life balance. Does it really exist?
What I love working at AWS is you're like a kid in a candy store. If you're a natural builder, you just want to build and create stuff, and you got to pace yourself in that way. And I just believe it's all up to us to make those decisions and create the boundaries. Nobody's going to do it for you, and if you give everything, people's just going to take more. But it's all up to us to decide how we prioritize. And I'm not the best role model on that, but I am learning from the best.
I like the honesty and the candidness. Thank you. There's a comment in the chat that you get work-life balance in Norway. So I definitely think some countries do it better than others. I've reverted to calling it work-life integration as opposed to work-life balance now, because I think everybody is different, and it's about how do you integrate those two things to suit you and to suit, what your life, what a picture of success looks like for your individual life. And one of a really good book recommendation as well for that is Free to Focus by, I think it's Michael Hyatt. It was one of my favorite books that helped me with the work-life integration. So if you haven't read Free to Focus, I'll add that on your reading list. So let's talk about leadership and career progression, because generally, that's always an area of interest. What advice do you have for women looking to get into the tech industry, or for anyone looking to get into the tech industry, I guess, whether that be pivoting careers or progressing your career in general? And you can take a pick at who wants to start.
I'm happy to. Oh,
seeing that I've got a lot of smiles on. the what I really would encourage people is the opportunity is literally next to you. If you're in a non-tech environment, there could be a department, a tech department in the business, or you would know someone in that. Go and spend time in their shoes, really to understand what it's all about. But don't wait. There's people all around you, and just get out there, get a feel for it. We sometimes just don't think of venturing into those type of roles. That's number one. Just look around you and open your eyes to the opportunities that are around you. Secondly, when an opportunity does come your way, don't be scared. Just take it. And you could fail and you could move on to the next, but take those opportunities. And the third, which is the most important, is surround yourself with people that are larger than you, larger than life, that have vision and that can mentor you, because you need it. You need those mentors to support you and to grow you. But I'll hand over to the rest.
And we'll go with Navi next. I know I had to let everyone have the chance to speak over each other once, so it wouldn't be a real virtual panel, but I know it's easier to help. So Navi.
Thank you. So mainly as part of my role as a technical trainer as well in my last company, even the business people, even the people who had nothing to do with tech, I would tell them, see, cloud is the new tech. You do need to know the keywords. You have to have the knowledge. Even if you are not doing hands-on work, you have to look around and see where the technical people are going. And when you go into meetings with them, you're designing some architecture for them, getting the finance approved, you need to know the technical terms. So there is no going back. You have to learn the technical, no way, whichever role you're doing. As you can see, even doctors have to use the computers. Everyone in the world has to, even if they're doing a different kind of role. So don't be afraid of the word technical. Go and experience something. You never know what you will like. Which part of the tech would you actually be passionate about? And then you can grow more skills in that. And with the amount of knowledge, amount of opportunities we have right now, I just wish we had that 10 years ago. We've got so many learning opportunities. You can learn about something, and then if you don't like it, fine. Go on, move on to another thing. So many Udemy courses, so many like these she builds we are doing, CloudU programs we are running. So many opportunities are available these days.
Thanks, Navi. Renee, you were going to say something as well.
I was, but I completely agree with what Mel and Navi have said as well. But I think what I would add to that, or any kind of advice that I would give, would be don't be intimidated. And I think that's just because I've talked to a few younger women recently, actually, who have sort of expressed that they have an interest in the tech industry, but they felt too afraid to look at a career there because they felt like they didn't have enough technical knowledge. But again, like I'm going to say it over, I think that curiosity is really all that you need in the end. And that's really what's going to inspire you to be able to like identify the right problems and dig out the root causes to that. And so like the other common theme that often comes up with women as well, and it's something that I very much struggle with and like have for a while, is really the imposter syndrome. And so my advice around like if you feel like you shouldn't really be somewhere is to really just focus on what you can bring to the table and what you do know, rather than focusing on where you might need to develop further. So I think that's just a really important one to make sure that you're aware of and focus on. It's about what you do know and what you can offer. And then it's about talking to people, just trying new things, getting out there, going to meetups, like just trying new experiments and teaching yourself along the way. And that's really going to help you build the confidence that you need. I also think probably the final thing that I would add to that, and something that I've really valued and discovered very early on, is the value that a mentor can bring to your experience that you have when you're trying out something new. And it doesn't mean that you need to have somebody or the same person for life. It's really just understanding where you've got some current gaps and who you can partner with to really help coach you through that understanding until you build the right confidence. And then you might want to switch around. But that's a piece of advice that I valued right from the beginning, and something that I still I still do very often.
Yeah, I love that. I think, you know, as to what Navi was saying, experimenting and trying different things is a really great way to figure out, you know, what your passion is, what you want to do. But also mentors is a great way. I remember having mentoring sessions with an ops manager and a project manager and a few people in different roles because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it was a really good way to start to go, does that sound, you know, a day in the life of? Is that interesting for me? Turns out it wasn't. But so I think that's a really great way to figure out your passion. Amrit, really keen to hear from you as somebody, you know, a couple of years in. So, you know, what do you recommend as the ways to get into the industry, but also, you know, from a career perspective, what are some of the things that you're seeing that are working and helping with career development?
Yeah, I think for me, if I was to think back to my uni days, going to events was definitely the main focus for me. I actually didn't care about getting A pluses. I cared more about, you know, creating networks, understanding what people are doing, meeting people, and, you know, just learning what their jobs were, what their titles were, and what that actually means. Because you can read a title and not know what the person actually does. So for me, my focus throughout my whole uni was to, you know, get to understand what was happening outside of uni. And I guess my main focus for setting up the club at uni was to connect people, women from university to the people in industry, because I personally felt very disconnected. It felt like I was going into uni, just attending lectures, coming back home, passing my assignments, and I wasn't really as it was amazing, but, you know, it wasn't something that I could, you know, say that I knew people from this company or I knew this people from this company. And I guess practical knowledge mattered to me more than theoretical knowledge. So when I set up the club, that was my main focus, that I wanted to introduce people from the uni with the people from the companies. And so we did like events. We did office visits where they would show us around the office, help us understand what the company does, and, you know, and from there on, I started making connections, and that's how all the internships I've done have been through networks. I obviously got this role at Deloitte through understanding what the company does through a network. So networks go a long way, and that has been my focus. And in terms of progression right now, my focus is to, you know, not hone down on one thing. So I'm at a very early stage in my career. I'm focusing on understanding as many different things within technology, because technology is so big. There's so many different technologies, and for me, my focus is to understand what the potential is and within different areas, try out different areas as you've mentioned earlier, and kind of find out what I really like doing in this whole, you know, massive machine that technology is. And I do have mentors as well. So I have mentors within Deloitte itself. So we have coaches who come and talk to us about, you know, where we're heading, 5-year goals, and how we can align what I'm doing at the moment to my goals. I also have mentors outside of Deloitte who I, you know, catch up, have coffees with, understand what's happening. So I guess for me, that's definitely been helpful in terms of understanding where I'm going. And that doesn't mean that I know where I'm going. I'm still lost, but, you know, I guess I have the right people around me to help me figure out where I am going. So I'll keep you posted when I find out where I'm going, but yeah.
Awesome. That was really helpful. Thank you. There's a lot of kind of themes coming through around networking and around, you know, mentors, coaches. One of the things that I'd like to go a little bit deeper on is certainly like mentors, coaches, sponsors, I guess, where they're valuable, the difference, because I think a lot of people get confused between the different things that we talk about, and also I can be nervous about where do I find them, how do I get one, like where do I start? I think that can be quite hard as well. And also like role models and the power of role models and how you know that's played a part, I think, as well. So anything in that kind of area I'd like to go a bit deeper with. Do you, Renee, do you have anything that, you know, thoughts in that space?
Yeah, I think for me, it's again kind of just like looking at where I think I have a current knowledge gap and working out who I know within my network. I think networking is absolutely key. And what I've loved most about the companies that I've worked with, or even the networks that I've made, is that people are just so willing to step in and kind of help out and provide that right kind of like guidance and coaching to really help you build confidence in whatever area you're looking to seek to. And so, yeah, I think it's really just about kind of reflecting on what is most important to you, and then identifying people that you can really lean on for support. And as I've said, it sort of changes over time depending on the different kinds of like needs or gaps you feel you have. Yeah, and I think that the company that you work for, it plays an important role in that and making those connections for you as well. And I've been lucky enough to have been working with great managers over time that have made some connections for me.
Fantastic. Navi, what about you?
Yep. So like Renee said, this is really nice, like, because everyone is helpful because they were in the same place at some point in their lives. So that's where the sympathy, empathy comes from. That's what I believe in. And with the LinkedIn professional network, even if you can't find a mentor within your company, maybe you're not even working, you're still a student and you're learning something, but you need a mentor in a certain area of your passion, you can find it so easily these days with the LinkedIn professional network. You link up to them, ask them a simple question, send them a message. If there is a response, there you go, you have this network. So it is very easy to find mentors. It's just that we are scared to look for and ask for help because it doesn't come us. It's easy these days, especially. In the olden days, you could ask someone, oh, I want to go to this certain place. Can you show me the way or tell me where the road goes? Nowadays, we don't do that. We look up to our phone and try to work out things for ourselves. So that's where we need to be a bit open to the people around us. And the mentors doesn't have to be professors or doctors or somewhere working high up. They could be your colleague. He can mentor you in some way where he's good at and you are not. And when I say he, it could be a she as well. So especially I think women are more approachable to women. So give it a try.
Nice, thank you. Amrit, you already touched on it a fair bit, but I guess can you expand a bit on, coaches, mentors, sponsors? Have you got, a sort of a view of where they all come into play?
Yep. So there are obviously different groups that exist who help you link up to different people. I think it's, again, matter of Googling. But for me, the way I personally reach out is, I find a topic or an area that I'm interested in knowing more about. Again, I would go on LinkedIn, just put in the keyword and see who pops up around me. Message them, be like, hi, I'm interested to know more about this area. Would you be open for having a coffee or a catch up? Nowadays, people are, it's easier to do a virtual session, so people aren't traveling to meet you. So, they'd be more keen to, even if it's a 15-minute call, that doesn't matter to them a lot just because, they're not coming physically to meet you. So people are very open to helping you out and just saying, yeah, sure, we can have a call, and it kind of goes on from there. So for me, it's about identifying where I am trying to go, find someone in that area who can help me understand what's happening within the area, or find someone who knows someone, and just reaching out and just asking. I guess what I think about when I reach out is like, what's the worst thing they could do is say, I'm too busy. And that's fine. People are busy, so I'll find someone else, and that's my approach. Yeah, and for me, I think reaching out to lecturers, like especially when you're in uni, the lecturers have industry connections most of the time. So just going up to your lecturer and being like, I'm really interested in finding out about this area. Is there anyone who could talk to me or help me, guide me in that sense?
Great advice. And Mel, I'm sure you've done plenty of mentoring in your time, and I'm sure you've probably had mentors as well. What's your advice in this topic?
Donna, I believe you have different types of people for different roles. So you would typically find that you have a mentor that could be a sponsor as well. And I've mentored a few people in my time where because I know where that person is going, and when I see, and I love linking dots, when I then see the opportunity, I would call them up and say, hey, I think there's an opportunity you should go for. Because sometimes people just need a little bit of a nudge. And I've always loved sponsoring people and just help them steer on that road, or help them think bigger than what they think they can do. On the mentor part, you always have to reinvent yourself, and or I believe you should. And with that, the type of mentors I've had, I've had a few, and I would just check in now. I check in with them every now and then, but again, they helped me to, when I was in need, I would reach out to them and they would remember what I was good at, and again sponsor me into roles that I couldn't even begin to imagine that was possible. But then you also need coaches, and I see a coach as someone for that specific functional requirement often. And I love having very young people being my coach, because they have just a total different generations, I get different perspectives. And as you learn different new things as you go on your journey, and that makes the world of difference. And then there's another one that I believe in as well, and that's life. You can call it different things, life coach, whatever you want to call it. But I listen to very different podcasts of people I trust, that I sometimes feel you need to steer with regard to how you build your brand, how you focus on some of those derailment factors, like Renee was saying earlier on. If you know you've got imposter syndrome, it always will pop up every now and then. Just listen to those voices, or find those people that can guide you in those specific areas. So I don't believe you just need one person. I think you need different people at different times in your life. You just don't go it alone.
100%. I think over the years I've had life coaches, business coaches, mentors, sponsors, and counseling as well. I mean, counseling is amazing if you're trying to get some of those mental unblockers. That probably wasn't the right symbol, but mental unblockers, counselors can be incredible to help with that. So the more support and help we can get to keep improving, I think the better from my perspective. So this isn't a question, but there's a really interesting comment on the chat that I certainly relate to, and it's SQL Solver. A few years ago, a user group that I hosted featured a prominent in our field speaker. So we rented a large hall. The first 60 or so guests in the door were men. There was a career fair next door, and a young woman wandered into our door by accident. She took one look at our group and said, "Oh, I must be in the wrong place." And I tried to assure her that she wasn't. I've been involved in organising lots of user groups and meetup groups and community events in tech, and it absolutely is a big challenge that you can sometimes be the only woman in the room, or maybe there's a handful of you. I guess, even though that wasn't a question, I'm keen to hear if any of you you've probably all experienced it, but have any of you got advice on how we can ensure more diversity in some of these, networking events and meetup groups and community groups? Anyone got any tips they'd like to share?
So not particularly about the meetup groups, but what I experienced while taking over this technical trainer role is, in my company, we were sponsoring people to study cloud technologies, learn some IT skills. But in my class, I would only find 99% men, not women, even though they were women in the technical area as well, but they wouldn't actually come to upskill themselves. They were not either they were feeling, oh, we can't take this time away from full-time job, we can't go and study during the workday, maybe we have to study on the weekend. So whatever that thinking was, I was really upset with that. So what I did is try to get the management involved and them to pass this message on to the women in the company. So these are people working in that company to say it's okay if men can go and study during the workday, you can also go and give some time for your own upskilling. So I found that there's a little kind of nudge, or women is just behind thinking I might do something wrong if I actually move away from my desk. So that feeling is there, which we all need to do something about. Spread this message that it is okay to upskill yourself. You're doing the company good if you do that.
Donna, I've seen a few areas with user groups, especially I was in the SAP world before I joined AWS, and I believe we need to really, everything is between the 20 centimeters between your ears, and if we can overcome that, we can overcome so much. Because the moment I started to look at it as, okay, there's just men in the room, so then I'll be the first, and then I'll start to draw more and more with me. I just think if we as women that are already in the industry take it upon us to pull more with us, that will make a difference. And I've always found if you're the only one there, the men are welcoming, they are not weird or indifferent. I've had great support from men in that field to welcome you in, and they also want more diversity. I just think it's something we need to solve one day at a time, but we all have to lean in and do it.
100%. Renee, anything to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, when you do find yourself in those kinds of environments, I think all I can say is back yourself. And again, it's just focusing on what you do know and making sure that you take the opportunity to not question whether or not you should like speak or be there, but actually just go ahead and kind of do it, because you never know where it's going to lead you.
Nice. And Amrit, do you have any final words on that topic?
Yeah, I feel like I have a little bit of a different mindset and maybe it might be the younger generation coming through, but for me, if I want to learn something, I'm gonna go do it anyway. So that's my little bit on it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad. Once again, it is so heartwarming. It's so good. Like, it's just awesome that if that's the way that our next generations feel and are behaving, it's very exciting, because it means that the lack of diversity we still currently have in tech hopefully will change much quicker than the trajectory it's been on over the last 10 years. So that's really exciting. A couple of practical tips that we've recently actually implemented. Derek, our fabulous Twitch producer, and I are part of a few organising committees of different meetup groups, and we've experienced this problem, and all the comments everyone said are so true, and men absolutely are more than happy for women to be there. They want women to be there, but they don't know how to get them there. So a few of the things that we did 3 things. One was we made sure that we had diversity on our organising committee. So we made sure that the organising committee, instead of being all men, which they often are for these tech meetups, we had 1 to 2 women as part of that committee for diversity. The second was that we made sure we found women speakers as well. So instead of only being men presenting, which happens most of the time because just the number, there's a lot more men. We had women speakers, and then women were much more inclined to come to those meetups. And then the third was actually advertising those meetups where women will see. So, there's a lot of women in tech groups in all the different, states and countries have plenty of women in tech groups. So advertise your meetup on those channels and specifically say, we'd love to get more diversity attending our meetup. So there's some of the things that I've seen work. Just reading an extra comment as well from another comment from SQL Solver. I believe it comes down to allowing for communication styles of everyone, so that instead of corporate life being one ill-fitting suit, everyone is welcome to participate. 1000%. I think that's to me the difference between the inclusivity piece of diversity is that we all need to make it work for everyone. It's not just about gender, it's about just everybody being able to create a life that they want. Yes, I feel like we could rant on that topic for a long time. Another tactical question for the panel. For people looking at pivoting into tech, a tech career or tech industry, is there any kind of specific training or experience that you recommend them as a starting point? Maybe Navi, will throw to you as a as a technical trainer.
Yeah, sure. So I was going to say there's so many, as I said earlier as well, there's so many opportunities these days. We never had this. Even AWS, we have a AWS.training, free digital training available. And you can give it a go. It doesn't have to be a certain area, as I said. Whatever interests you, look for the free training first. There are classes available. There are so many opportunities. So yes, go for it. That will be my advice. Don't delay. And as part of work-life balance, look for the work as well. Don't just concentrate as a female on the life side.
Renee, anything to add to that?
I just totally agree. I think it's really about kind of going after what you want and taking advantage of like what's available online, really thinking about how you could teach yourself, and then that's just going to lead you down this amazing journey. And I think just taking advantage of all of the local meetups that are within the area, particularly those that kind of advocate for women in technology as well. There are so many. I think we're very lucky to have them available to us today because it wasn't necessarily the case. But yeah, that would be my advice.
Amrit?
For me, I guess the quickest way for me to expand my horizon is just to sneak into careers fair and just talk to people. There are a lot of people at a careers fair, and you get a taster of all the different things that you can do and take. And I guess that for me would be a starting point because it'll help me understand what the different areas are and what I could potentially be interested in, and then going down a path that I think I want to go in. Yeah. That'd be my tip.
This might be a silly question. Do you have to be like a grad to go to a careers fair?
Do you have to do what? Sorry?
Do you have to be like a grad? Do you have to be young to go to a careers fair?
I mean,
Kind of?
Kind of, yes. I mean, there are those, open ones. That are open to the public, but there are also closed off ones. So I guess find the right one, find the right people, and you will get in.
Nice, because I do feel like they're so valuable. It's so cool having all these different companies in one place talking about what they do and their value prop. It's such a cool thing. But yeah, I guess there's definitely like a perception that they're only for graduates anyway. So it'd be pretty cool. I don't know if there's anything that exists for at an I don't know what the word is. I feel like everything I say is going to be not right. Adult, grown up, no, none of those words. As an experienced professional, maybe. Okay, now over to you. You got to stop talking.
Maybe that's a new idea. We could start off a I don't know, senior
adult career fair. Seniors career fair. Yes.
Worse.
That's very interesting. No, that's definitely an opportunity there. I agree with Navi and everyone else as well. There's so much free opportunities available. Every tech company you can think of have loads of meetup opportunities and free trainings. Donna, as you know, we've started off She Dares together with the Dream Collective, especially to open up to women that are in non-tech roles, to just expose them to what tech roles look like and overcome the barriers. So those are those women communities that you're driving, where they can go through Cloud Practitioner and so forth. It's all there's women only, but also mixed opportunities that everyone can just take on. And there's a saying in the book of The Richest Man in Babylon, luck favors those who act upon it. So it's all about searching and finding. And yeah, everyone are so willing to help when you do reach out.
I like that saying. I haven't read that book. It's on my reading list. I've heard good things.
Yeah.
So a bit of a wrap-up question now. What do you wish you knew 10 years ago that would have helped your career or your life? And maybe for Amrit, maybe it's like 3 years ago. So we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think if I was to think back to when I left school, for me, I feel like it would have been really helpful to understand how important networking was. No one told me about it. It wasn't until my second year of uni that I thought, oh wait, I needed to, stop focusing all my efforts on getting good grades. I actually needed to talk to people if I wanted to get somewhere. And that's very easy to do because when you come out of school, grades is all people tell you to focus on. They're like, you have to get into uni, you have to get good grades. And when you get into uni, they say, you have to get good grades if you want to get a good job. So it was all about grades. And for me, I wish I had known earlier that grades are not that important. You actually have to know people, and you have to learn those soft skills that are very important, because technical skills can be picked up, as you say, like any time, and people transition from different careers to career all the time. And what really matters are those soft skills. And for me, no one told me about those soft skills. And, it was me trying to find things out myself, and then, kind of highlighting to other people that this was actually a thing that we needed to do.
Yeah, nice. I do hope that's getting better in terms of, as part of schools, the focus on soft skills and entrepreneurship, because definitely they're so important to any career that you go into now.
Yeah, I think for me, when I left school, there weren't as many events focused around high school students. Now I've noticed, and I've been part of loads more. So people are definitely transitioning, and they're changing their mindset about things, and there are definitely more opportunities and awareness around it as well. So 100% changing.
Excellent. Navi, what do you wish you knew 10 years ago?
Yes, so in my case, what I thought, honestly, I would have loved to do some upskilling from the very beginning. So in when I was in a role, I was just concentrating on that role, not looking around what other technical people are doing, not learning anything new, not even trying my hands on it, because thinking that this is the job and I have to do that perfectly, right? Just concentrate on that. So I just wish I would have given like half an hour or 1 hour every day or every weekend at least to learning something new. Because now the world has changed. We have got so many opportunities, all these career fairs we are talking about, all those availability meetup, user meetups, all of them are available now. They were not there to coach you, mentor you, to motivate you. So things have changed now. We've got women like Mel, my manager, motivating young women. This wasn't there 10 years ago. I just wish it was there.
Yeah, fantastic. And that segue to Mel.
Donna, I'm humbled to be surrounded by amazing women like yourselves, and I wish 10 years ago I had a bigger urgency in me to take on more technical skills. And because the faster that time, we would be much more focused on being an executive, and taking more leadership roles, which is great because it helped me to scale fast. But you then have less time to focus on honing in on your skills. And as I said, you always have to reinvent yourself. So I wish I did it when I was much younger. And now I have to do it at this age. I have to learn how to code, but I'm going to do it.
Thanks, Mel. And Renee?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I wish I knew sort of 10 years ago was that life really is by design, and we are the drivers to our own success. And so we really just need to be aware and take time to reflect on where we want to go so that we can put the very next step in place to achieve it. I think that I often thought that sometimes things happened by accident, but actually what I've realized is they don't. And really it's just about what I need to do to make sure that I succeed.
Yeah, I love that. Life by design. Design your own life. I was going to finish up on that question, but we just have a last audience question, so we might quickly just address it. So how do you know what to upskill on, though, was the question. I guess that was in regards to our conversation before around training. Navi, shall we go straight to the trainer again?
Yeah, so actually, if you're thinking of IT or tech right now, it's easy answer for this question. There are so many various fields available. You can be upskilling in networking, security, storage, so many, and give it a go. Maybe 1 hour session on networking, and if you're interested, then move forward. Otherwise, you don't have to. So yes, it is that passion you need to find in yourself, and then go upskill in that passion. It's still up to you. It's a personal choice, but abundance of knowledge, abundance of training programs available if you want to go ahead and learn something new.
I feel like it's a true consulting answer to that one, Amrit. It depends, right? Which is always the answer as a consultant. Anyone else want to add on how to figure out what it is that you want to upskill on, how to figure out what your passion is, because that can be tricky.
Donna, I'd love to add something there, because I honestly believe, and Navi touched on it, it really is dependent on what you believe your purpose is. And in AWS, we write press releases for every big idea we have, PR FAQ. And that usually focuses on 5 years from now. So you write it as if this would have been in the press. And I always encourage women, write your own press release about yourself 10 years from now, 5 years from now, to just pin down that vision of what you still want to do. And then in those FAQs, work out what's those exact steps. And if you're stuck, go and speak with people and ask questions around it. But then, I definitely still want to focus a lot more, for instance, on design programs. There's so much more when I've finished studying art therapy, where I want to focus on other technical type of functionalities and certify like you did in solution architecture, because you never know how your roles will change and what roles will become no longer relevant. So, but always start from what you believe that purpose is that you want to achieve and what's your tour of duty. I believe that guides you.
Yeah, I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. I love the Find Your Why book, because I like practical books, not just the theory side of things. So it really talks you through how to figure out what that purpose looks like for you, because I think that can be quite challenging. Renee or Amrit, anything that you wanted to add?
You go, Amrit.
Yeah, I think I guess a great way to expand your horizon is to sign up to newsletters, and look at news, what's coming out, what's happening in technology. I'm not doing a name drop, but Deloitte does tech trends. So you could Google tech trends Deloitte, and it'll show you. This is a report that Deloitte releases annually, and it talks about all the trends and upcoming exciting technologies, and that's a way for you to understand what's happening and where we're going. Pick out a topic that you're interested in, and nail down and find courses and training sessions for those. And I guess that's a way, if someone doesn't know where to even start, that could be a starting point. I'll pass it to you, Renee.
I totally agree with everything that everybody has said, but the only other thing that I would add to that is really just thinking about where you get your energy from, like what you're most interested in, and what makes you kind of what draws you in. And then you can kind of do a little bit of exploration around that. And then I guess the more you do that, the more of a journey it's going to take you, and you never know really where it's going to lead.
Yeah, I love that. Mel and I are both big fans of the Gallup strengths-based leadership, and I think that's another, if you figure out what it is that you're naturally good at and what your strengths are, that's generally what you'll enjoy doing and spending your time on. So I'm a big fan of that as well. So to wrap up, a few shout outs and next steps. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today/tonight to watch this, and it does get posted as a recording, so I'm sure plenty of people will be watching this on record. A big shout out to Derek Bingham, who is our fabulous Twitch producer hiding in the background. Shout out again to Amrit and Deloitte team for sponsoring the She Builds CloudU New Zealand program. I have no doubt that Deloitte are hiring, so shout out to their careers page. And as Amrit mentioned, Tech Trends Deloitte sounds like a pretty interesting one to subscribe to. Also, don't forget to check out the links to the free She Builds and She Dares training programs. And finally, a huge shout out to this incredible panel. Thank you, Renee, Navi, Mel, and Amrit for being part of this today, for sharing your insights and sharing your time. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Donna.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good
Good
night.
afternoon.